United States government should significantly strengthen its protection of domestic outer space plans. Advantage 1 is space law. Current space law is based on outdated understanding of space. The only protections are by individual countries. Lead 19. Our space law can collective treaties govern space. Treaties not speak directly to space. OC for the space law. One set of treaties place space object under jurisdiction control of the state registered U.S. Patent Act. Extended patent laws. Any space objects exclude space objects registration of the state jurisdiction. Line with the OC that's causing space laws legal for other upgrades to account for commercial activities and IPR critical affairs results in widespread circumvention of the OST and eventual collapse of DUTO. 19. IP space question of legal framework support of IP booming space commercial activity online policies conflict space and involve private entities rather than government directions include patent infringement interventions development space will cause bias and convenience version ability of force IP depend on nation jurisdiction loophole and patent infringement where company operates spacecraft registered to different countries explore private space commercialization adequate support suspension and space vacuums uncertainties for domestic law efforts that are adding to confusion feelings to prevent obligation repercussions fact the OST where some countries by the avoid US patent law potential unscrupulous tactics jurisdiction of space fact the OST may not be exclusive confusion or interpretive vision national IP law and conflict creating uncertainty might be in violation of obligations under the treaty update for the instrument fundamental for future time solutions the relationship between the two bodies the law that we're announcing international obligations creating a certain legal framework without space business into future commercial expansion IP space not rely on outdated policies the international space law needs to whether lead or to follow OC credibly stop space organizational Finkelstein 18 military spraying weapons in outer space have to break weaponization could take only one major country directing drives to major arms to current pieces because of the outer space videos because the OC on their course sends down a major path military competition space weaponization causation miscalculation territory isolation hard zone 18 weaponry in space could spark new arms in space that increase all territory systems permanent mistakes launching war and motivate adversaries to increase nuclear arsenals and ASAC capabilities for future militarization space without the future deploying weapons to undermine arms control make conventional and nuclear war more likely and U.S. domestic action is key space and imperial legal structure is entwined in U.S. domestic policy that benchmark the other countries model updating them to close infringement loopholes in space incentivizes commercialization and harmonizes domestic and international law of DUTO 19 more reliable space law, legal framework, commercial incentivization, national space law, and IP efforts within U.S. domestic legislation. Take the lead role U.S. laws mature development of IP because the U.S. moved early in regulation, space legal issues, exclude regulation, IP, and space law. Also constitutes benchmark national regulation, both in IP and space law represents extent workability, such intertwined bodies of law. The potential for positive facts of being bona technology operating space without connection to not fall within U.S. patent law so long as it's conserved spacecraft registered to another country. A PSA provides an example of domestic law in harmony with international space. However, the Act also requires modernization plans. Action is domestic protection, IP protection don't apply. Next, extraterrestrial 23 acquisition and enforcement of IP in predictive territory government by IP law, there's still make different differences among national regional IP laws lead to a different level of IP protection in each country, adopting quasi territory principles, space object means and better jurisdiction laws, quasi applicable law, subject national law, registry country, other object, place, pan law, no director, choice to affect major reason avoidance of interference harms the other country, extending utopia's plans and not conflicted with policy, any other sovereign nation. U.S. basically take the lead and act first, establishing U.S. domestic focal point gets the ball rolling on the national space plan regime. Others will agree HOAR 22 for a space plan regime to be effective. Back to convince other countries to follow on the international set of pound laws for space. Any proposed foreign act to new international standard support for a regime is attainable states to act rationally maximize these interests, support patent regimes to our U.S., EU, Japan, China, and Russia negative impact regime consensus greater than the consequence of having solutions establishing things of regulation best. All have the interest in standard patent law, space patent regime, clarify jurisdiction rules, help encourage private space companies to obtain states elected to once focal point established the focal point version of a set of laws. U.S. should act first to create a focal point, formalizing focal point for multilateral agreement. U.S. industry have to establish focal point for regulation. U.S. incentives take the lead and active federal against the greater impact of what patent laws in space benefit demonstrated by the internet by being the first state to create coordination. U.S. typically exerts significant influence over laws and internet. U.S. may receive resistance by acting first, give U.S. much greater influence to be benefit being the first state to create a focal point coordination of U.S. insurance patent laws incorporated into standard part of space. Space cooperation is key to regulate commercial activities that solves multiple scenarios for planetary station. Hamilton 22 rapid development of space outpacing wisdom, but many feature requires space technology to create space coordination is necessary to the rest of the national technology period to point a station by Roy's guide towards need for coordination to minimize risk back contamination starting pandemics so you often more safe than ever thanks to Mars missions to space weaponization creation space be weaponized planetary mass drivers strong need for planetary killing bomb demilitarization humanity suppress the other risks of planetary conflict coordination space policy versus ozone depletion cancer run orbital planes on people life pollution and account human health reduce capacity and coordination incentivize the other actors pursue growth activities at fast rate that might be safe. The U.S. non-compliant commercial ST regulations emboldens others to violate. Congressional leadership is critical. The lock-in U.S. space diplomacy 2017. We comply with the OST. We encourage several countries that credibly lead towards U.S. inspired commercial friendly interpretations of the treaty. One, we do not comply with the OST. We send countries Russia and China's way less credibly and say other countries follow the U.S. The OST obligation to U.S. company first move. We not look whether they're creating harmful interference. The OST will not credibly insist on doing the same for us. U.S. need to position because historical background and taking action in the Congress, the international of other areas. Many other countries follow suit by being the first mover, which can be the leader of Congress does. Follow the vast majority of other countries. Keeping space law intact is essential. Ensures space cooperation. That's the only way for you to survive multiple scenarios for extinction. Haze 10. Sustain cooperative efforts the only way to make threats most pressing survival chances and constant penalty survival include depleted resource value, habitat affected space, calculated with damage and exhaustion, destruction of the sun, environmental degradation, space phenomena that exist to make many improve our survival if we cooperate along provided effective ways to structure these opportunities to sustain dialogue and generate better space law needed for survival. Advantage 2 is commercial space. Current patent law is based on contradictory and confusing. A certain robust systems need to clarify and jurisdictional disputes and allow investment in complex multinational commercial space ventures. Big London 19 space patent laws. Patrick was the level laws the jurisdictional ambiguity and conflicting jurisdiction with protecting future new characteristics space space patent justice, and parallel infringement easy outer space violence, beings of infringement business planning, investment space of thousands of complete countries will have to implement multiple sources of law that contest statutory law, international law, make each other's incentivizing investment effective system, parallel promote commercial investment, inspire commercial enterprises, clear and certain IP protections, and patents are key. Space industry is unique. IP protections are the only way to spur development of space technology. Research areas like remote sensing, microgravity, high cost, data crowd competitors, and key to investment and image loop 23, 10 between parallel space on P's, American Innovation League regime, protect IP space, lack of legal certainty, influence advances, space research, and international cooperation, legal framework, issues, fair environment, death, server, IP protection, competitive benefits like legal licensing agreement, like stealing competitors from overall image company, approve IP rights, application path, to prove for technical competence, and licensing IP allow, negotiates core licensing agreement, technology, space education, state-of-the-art activities, more things include remote sensing, research, manufacturing, microgravity, advanced space development, space technology, hyper rights have a positive effect on technology. We're close to a breakthrough microgravity research that spills over into the rest of the technology, but development and new expensive R&D are key. Dr. Kasmuda, 24, the promise revolutionary discoveries in microgravity, successful LEOs, sparked visions, groundbreaking advances, material science, pharmaceutical, potential microgravity research, made elusive, predative cause and figuring actions, space barriers for fifths, including cost, height, and all frequency, frequency, space found persist, while the ice of financial provenance for fertilizability, that was pivot from expression technology, innovative mass microgravity research, in space manufacturing, wait for a catalyst. So far, the advantage not been widespread adopted, infrastructure undeveloped for industry could be a turning point, opening frontiers, innovation, lower space, maybe blind pursuit of unique states of matter due to energy minimum, simple Earth's gravitational constraints. This requires bridging the communication gap between space community and terrestrial industries, aligning our objectives, commercial space innovation, facilitate space colonization, eliminate wars, try to dig it off the rock, colonization, new intent. Low cost, orbital access, persistent settlements of growth in their population grow very large, extraterrestrial settlements reducing danger radiation due to planetary reactions to water plates, to volcanoes, asteroids, reducing incentives to use weapons equally important depends on low cost, growing dangers of pollution, resource wars, running out of these justified wars which may never end, but this cost stays unchanged. Process to bleak human war vehicles of resource wars will evaporate. Space colonization is feasible if we get the tech advances right. Every second of delayed colonization kills 10 to 29 potential human lives. Backstep 14, space colonization eventually possible. Big blog post argument for the infeasibility of space colonization, largely inconvincing due to lack of data, potential obstacles. Space colonization not insurmountable obstacles easier to overcome given the potential advances the aerobot manufacturing and pulse technology, people eventually colonize space, increase scale of the duration of civilization, wide space computing power, extract from a star, 10 to 40 operations per second, one given asteroid potential, 1038. Human lives lost every century, colonization delayed about 10 to 29 position, human lives per second, multiple locations of colonized, the risk of total destruction dramatically decreased. Failure of the U.S. act causes as a complete shift to trade secrets that collapses the commercial space industry for an SC. 19. The U.S. could just leave the partnership as it is, unlike the best results because commercial space industry hurdles effective patent protection of the space industry substantive. This is not the patent space sector openly just rely on trade secrets and will publish inventions in any other country from without the protection because secrecy. U.S. not allow patent attention push funds away path toward trade secrets against commercial space industry lines and disclosure agreements required. Paths push commercial space technology move bar routes slowly allowing other countries first to operate secrecy of capacity of space technology upgrading global patent protection by creating regulatory harmonization solves and establishes central mechanisms to hold patent information while allowing domestic enforcement cooperate for agreements through other countries to yes. Lee 19. The OC access to address space safety for multi-level privileged ground space safety UN treat not address private entities with degradation space and externalities. Regulatory harmonization natural solution is to add global jurisdiction of patent space related activities mitigates professional confidence space vision and encourage space activities mitigate global degradation patent protection central authority give men red free value uniformly recognized by space party multi-level agreements existence and enforcement would prevent flags of convenience. Cut the flags of convenience.
Are you good?
Yeah.
What is an outer space patent?
It would be a patent on an object that could be used in outer space or technology applicable to outer space.
So like anything that can be like used in space? Like why is that just not like all technology?
Well, like a technology that's like specific to the space industry. So like
specific to space, so like rocketry and like that kind of stuff?
Like that, yeah.
Okay. And how does the plan structure?
Because right now, those technologies,
they're patentable.
They're in space.
That's what I'm
but if they're in space, then the patent does not apply to them in space. So
okay, why is that necessary for R&D, right? Like you can develop them on Earth while they're patented, and then you use them in space, like it's your technology.
Yeah, but when it's in space, the patent no longer applies. Like the jurisdiction.
Okay, but like they have to develop.
So like if China infringes on your patent and that like tech is in space, they can like legally do that.
Yeah, if they're in space, but everyone develops it on Earth.
Yeah, but
so how does this affect R&D?
But the technologies are used in space. Like that's the point.
Okay, yeah, like I understand that, but again, R&D occurs on the ground, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
so
some does. Well, we think
some. You think R&D occurs in space?
Yeah, we read the Cosmic evidence says that there's technologies like microgravity where the R&D is happening on the ISS, and those and you can't even get those patents for those technologies.
Okay, so but like just microgravity, that's the only scenario that like R&D is in space.
Cosmic also talks about remote sensing. Those are the two things.
The only one you've read it impact to though.
Well, we think both like are good for getting off the rock. So like there is an impact.
Speaking of which, I want to talk about the Hamilton card on Advantage 1.
Yeah.
So you've like it's kind of highlighted to shreds, but like you've said like coordination is necessary. The line right after that says that space law does not impose such costs. Instead, it is rife with externalities, including factors that incentivize individual actors to exploit the benefits of space development without paying for the regard for the impact on humanity's collective security.
Yeah, that's
How does strengthening space law help international coordination?
because we think that post-plan, other countries will want to follow on or cooperate with U.S. to do something similar.
Right, but your card that says international coordination is desirable says that space law is bad for that. Like, space law is the exact opposite. Incentivizes private actors to take their own interests.
Why?
Because it helps, like, private entities exploit space for their own good.
That's
right?
the
Like,
status quo, and that is bad. The app resolves that because we prevent private entities from exploiting the status quo.
Okay, but the app, like, reifies space law. Like, that's your internal link.
In a
Right?
sense,
Yes.
but
Yeah, it does reify space law,
Right,
but we think it does so in a way that prevents private entities from exploiting space.
Okay, I want to talk about another one of these, like, OST internal link cards. The Dunstan card, you've highlighted it to say, like, if we comply, other countries will follow. But the very first line says there are going to be some countries that oppose our interpretations of various OST provisions, regardless of what we do. How do we solve that?
Well, we think that we don't need to get every single country to follow on HOART, which is our song.
Yeah, okay. Like,
So
obviously,
that-
adversaries are the most important for space coordination.
HOART says China, Russia. Those are two adversaries. He says they will both follow on.
The one in C was sent. It's 7 off. Advantage 2, advantage 1.
Let me down it.
Good. Helps.
no, mine's gonna be prior. So. Yeah, I'm good.
Good.
First house of panic, politics driven by fear of impending crisis, cultivates neurosis and drains the life of joy. Vote nay for rejection. This is gateway issues of panic. 3. A person looking at his shock circle politics characterized by the state of emergency. Law becomes the only source of passion. Pleasures outside are null and void. In Congress, human experience, the more we sacrifice, the more it wants, the more it gains. A vampirism, the law feeds a drive to become the only locus of enjoyment and obsessional neurosis. The rest of the one in C isn't even if to prove zero policy failure. Under their model, T subsets protection of intellectual property requires protection in all forms. The House 88 term protection of intellectual property means a country provides means under its law for persons secure rights in all forms of intellectual property. Violation of the F does not strengthen the entire area of patents, prefer allowing minute tweaks to each topic area. Explodes the topic to tiny apps that don't even change the status quo. Ending Negro. Next off is the big tech DA, FTC, and DOJ crackdown on AI now. PIMS now 24. Justice Department and FTC are gearing up to unleash antitrust on tech behemoths facing new scrutiny. Similar to what FTC did with big tech lawsuits that were brought against each of those companies. History repeating itself with AI and antitrust ruling could be a game changer. China's getting split up and the door for smaller players should have a ripple effect on everything. Big tech hates stronger IP. The lobby against play. Environment 21. Weak IP environments, hospital reform, stronger IP environments to enable strong entry by smaller firms, organizational distortion, larger firms, excel in process innovation, smaller, excel innovation, challenges technologies, tested firms are indicated by FTC and lobbying. The examples show integrated firms versus patent protection, IBM of 1960, common software, intangible assets, services, protection, business community, non-favor protections, only 30% support and integration, protect IP, preferences, companies monetize an innovation patent system, centuries suggest weak IP, rich games, favor, incumbents, government seeds ground on antitrust for big tech to compensate under the plan, lane 224. Government space pressure from special interests with each group's lobby, not with welfare. Government may pick its battles, seek to do deals with the groups to avoid a fight. The government has limited resource possibility that government sees decisions special interests. The government will not fight all groups. It does a deal where it takes contribution and exchange proceedings to the group. Quid pro quo is critical to our model. Government uses sort resources from a deal to free up PC from something unrelated and use that, and context explains why. And governments that appear weak may lose fights. That has the ability to see it has implication for battles on multiple. No for us. Big tech and antitrust consolidation. Rex democracy. Fukuyama 20. Antitrust enforcement is necessary because it cannot stop anti-competitive monopolies, make tech relentless democracy. Larger network gets simple leads a single company to dominate the market. Companies do not compete for the market itself. Internet platforms start democracy. Platforms to allow for continuous extremists, filter bubbles having disturbed, being influenced. Platforms have so much power they can sway an election. Facebook and Google affect political views, act instead. In person possess information about individuals like straight up political powers, loaded weapon. The question for democracy is whether it's safe to leave a gun there, whether where another person could pick it up. Democracy plugs existential risk from a laundry list of impacts. Battlefield 23. Totalitarian states versus bad at dealing with disaster more likely to have major wars. Mental health may be probable due to personalization descended from accurate film existential likely by raising the chance of human teachers, totalitarians, and cooperative lack of conspiracy limits. Agreements bad for pandemics, climate change, inequality, offensive power, AI, or biotech. We should be concerned about locking in future techs such as AGI, space and network surveillance, emergency powers of totalitarian world, extend the risk of extinction as well as distortion of human trajectory, which threaten the destruction of humanity's potential. Next off is CAPK. IP's expansion is weaponized by corporate elites and their churches. Neoliberalism, neoliberal capitalism. Right 14. IP is imposed on all society by corporate elites that write strongly favor elites that is dangerous, not visible, is based on quiet restriction, hardly visible, consistent behind technical rulemaking, mystifying doctrine, and complex bureaucracy, law and tech interfere with freedom and curiosity. IP is innoxious to the freedom to innovate, so your ability to learn and pass knowledge and culture. Capitalism is cascading and systemic roots culminating in extinction. Driver 23. Human extinction is looming is driven by intertwined threats linking cap, environmental destruction, climate, pandemics, biodiversity, nuclear war, lower emission conflict with cap, actions that are very threatening only minority communities, socialism, survive moving beyond cap. State has been a miracle. Capitalism has helped innovation created war, assisted will grow the cap, drives militarism to expand its resource base and markets, will protect investments and break ecological thresholds against the states and to increase power for the military companies that produce nuclear, biochemical, and cyber war. All are systemic and intensifying the extinction of each other. Climate change is the driver of war and war cause of climate. Vote neg in favor of organizing a united revolution against capitalism. Peterson 23. Communists are coming through to climate disaster, war and strict, and instability, consciousness transformed an entire generation is desperate to find a way out. Recent polls revealed Gen Z and millennials expressing a favorable view of communism, shifting goals view of millions, and see through discontent after the defeat of BLM. Despair is being transformed into class rage and desire. Strength of these forces lies in their numbers, fear, and willingness. Spontaneity and revolution are not enough. Lack of organization can be fatal when confronting the capitalists, even though no organization could find itself isolated from the masses and who played a role for revolutionary catalyst or harness energy into revolution will be able to come out. As the bold critics of cap or offering organization means he's starting out with an understanding of what communism socialism is not redistribution within capitalism, revolution, or rupture of property relation. The economy must be public and democratic, communist, and superabundance, and we must have urgency. Next up is ASPEC land, lack of range specifications. Voter for limited ground. This topic is doomed for the night. Absent aging capitalism make all of them non-competitive, incentivizing vagueness, which causes a race from the bottom. Next off is necessity. Accountability. The United States federal government should find that only safeguarding against pathogens requires applying tortious public necessity to protect outer space patents, narrowing its jurisprudence to include protecting rights to space patents, as well as applying the necessity doctrine restricts inflexible IPR. Meanwhile, the core specifies necessity can only be applied to pandemics for permitting effective response without broader application. Held 21. Good to respond to public health, cover inflexible rights, yield troubling results with rights to protect your ability to override interest and liability, and should willing to share. Review and ensure that little incentive for you to attack and not occur due to overturns the meet needs diversity. DCI needs a flexible solution, accepting conduct for liability, solution balance to establish right food acid, access to protected site without permission toward necessity, incorporate this doctrine as for other doctrine. Necessity encompasses acts of very imminent disaster, provides defense out shields, any liability results in privilege, IP law evolve constantly, judges in society manage allow litigants to import doctrines from other law. Doctrines later becoming incorporated into the statute. There are no doctrinal impediments, IP's connections addressed. Deficits, extinction, Canon 21, epidemics of human life, the sun spread of the diseases remains undiscovered, simulation revealed the risk of disease, in fact, all known disease lead to extinction, emergency frequently, an extinction event, global risk of plague to the smallpox, and Ebola, affect a large population, risk increase of mobility, and extinction threat, will affect every person, previous studies and not conduct a quantitative investment if we consider various disease characteristics, results reveal extinction, commercial space advantage. Space world is bad, space colonization causes existential wars, 21. If represented into the case of being intruded might succeed, given history, such an independence in space will result in conflict greater than all wars in history. There's no guarantee colonies will be vulnerable. There will be colonies system or aggressive colonies might be unattractive for extremists. Reactionary colonies would create suffering dictatorial regimes led by psychopathic elite that enjoy sentient simulation suffer existential effects or numerous consequences of exploiting civilization. Existing cultures and intergroup bias, auspicious and pre-existing identity prevented action by seem rational given future. The weapons conflict would create suffering on an astronomical scale. Lupin slides probability means immense disvalue. Recolonization reverses restraints on existential future technologies and is fast. 2020. Expansion increases existential retreat and reversal architectures are not easy to sustain. Expansion makes preservation even more difficult. Instead of mitigating existential risk, expansion problems to multiply them. Restriction unlikely to survive transplantation. There will be breakdowns and companies will be difficult. It's a dangerous case of the reversal may be AI. If a regime for ASI is not established, expansion might occur before its colonization. An effective regime seems unlikely to survive the expansion of humanity. The dispersion of humanity over before no production, terrestrial organizations, restrained nuclear, genetic, and nano are likely to reverse prospects of war. Incentives for maintaining weaponized capabilities of nanomachines are possible. Existence will be threatened. Space causes space quality doesn't solve extinction. 2020. Questions whether or not space efforts are desirable but feasible in neither space. If it's consideration analysis gives consideration to the ways space might exasperate or triggers the lens to survival hinge on the ability to avoid rather than undertake. The threats are so distant they have absolutely no relevance. The current sources of threats are of human origin and space expansion really considers possibility that human activity producing threats that might be carried into space when did consider whether regimes to restrain technology established on Earth can persist qualities spread across solar systems and its only creation causes resource wars. Hamilton 22. Development space zones creates existential reasons Earth development would demand research from the Earth. For example, settlement will still demand tremendous amounts of fresh water, which could exacerbate resource tensions. Collins and Antino give no warrant for how any of the scenarios leads to extinction, presuming their scenarios low risk until they read evidence about how those risks culminate in human extinction. Space law. No space war and terrestrial conflict turns. Hall 15. Every country with basic capabilities needs to assets use of Russia, China, and India have such interest in preventing militarization attack would hurt them. For more international prohibits ASAP space wars unlikely. All parties are incentivized against acting Dedicari. It would be a part of a larger conflict. Under the Hayes only scenario, Hayes gives for extinction is the sun exploding. We can survive without colonizing space beach. 9 once supposed to reach increases towards Earth's orbital radius by shifting the Earth outward. It can make a track motion of habitable sun views repeated close passage interaction but to redirected KVOs. Top is just that Earth may be a little eastern to space by positioning massive engines around the equator. Once the sun has become a white dwarf remnant, a synthetic star might be constructed. Market constructed.
You get
Yeah.
That's the off.
Conditional.
The all on the cap K, can it be a floating pick?
No. It's fiated domestically.
Okay, fiated domestic revolution. Like it would just be like a revolution, overthrow the U.S. government, establish a communist regime.
Like it would, the U.S. government would probably still exist in the communist world, but yes, it would change it to a communist or
Okay,
not.
but like it doesn't like change world governments. So
Well,
I mean-
we'll make like a spillover claim that once the movement starts within the U.S. and we take over the U.S. government, it'll spill over broadly internationally, causing a full-on communist revolution.
wait, why?
Okay, well, first of all, there's international momentum is also pretty high now. So like, likely in the U.S. when we change our economic system and have a huge overhaul.
Wait,
of
why is
communism-
international momentum high?
I mean, like
What's,
European
the
governments are
word for
much more amenable to socialism than the American government. But our argument is that when we change our government domestically, because the U.S. is an economic leader globally, the other countries will likely follow on, and because they're honestly less resistant to something like
that?
socialism.
Wait, do private companies exist post alt?
In like post, we don't like fiat them away. We
Sure.
only part we fiat is the revolution. But yes,
Yeah.
like the result
Like
of
in
that
a
would take
communist
away.
world, yeah. Are there
Like the
private-
end point of that is probably central planning.
Oh yeah, but there's so central planning. There's no private companies in a world where central
I
planning.
mean, yeah, it's like companies are nationalized. So yeah,
Okay, the panic K. You've also read arguments that are like predicated upon fears of impending crises. Why do you not link back
Yeah.
to yourselves?
It's an even if claim. The primary argument in the 1C that we presented is the panic K. Everything else is to prove serial policy failure under your model of fear.
Explain.
So the argument we forwarded in the 1C, the primary one, is a fear K. The impacts are substantiated. I can just explain that well. But the rest of the arguments prove that there is no value to fearing political crisis because the AF just recreates them. So there's only a chance of our offer.
It's like, why does the necessity counter plan prove that there's no value to like talking about fear?
okay. Like we presented multiple arguments why the plan is undesirable or will cause extinction. Like counter plan, obviously mutually exclusive option. So like, if in proving that the AF also reproduces these harms, we've proven that fearing is not adequate as a model of handling threats.
Wait, but doesn't the necessity counter plan like literally base everything upon like fear of pandemics? And so you want to do a policy to prevent pandemics? from
Again,
happening?
like the
Like
necessity counterplan is a mutually exclusive option to the plan, meaning that
yeah, but you still read it.
yeah,
So
yeah.
you
But
still-
we read it to prove serial policy failure and that fear in the 1EC does not solve its impacts.
I'm confused how that works. Like, why?
Okay, like I think we're kind of saying the same thing, but like again, the fear in the 1AC is undesirable. That's our fear K offense, and the rest of the arguments are defense because you don't solve your impacts via fear.
Okay, we'll take about 10 minutes.
605 left. Was it? I don't know if I started. I think I started at 2. Okay, 605. I'm sending it.
605 is correct.
Yeah. Okay, I'm sending it out. Okay, it should be sent.
I just got it, but it's gonna scan for viruses for like 40 minutes.
Yeah, I'll get my process going. Yikes. Under the debate upstairs requires jumping. Alright, I'm ready for an order whenever you are.
Okay, the order is the space law advantage, then the commercial space advantage. Then T subsets, or like T protection, whatever the T original was, and then A spec, and then the necessity counterclaim, the FTC, like the antitrust disad, then the panic K, and then the cap K.
Cool.
We're good. We're good. Everyone good?
Yep.
Okay. On space law, concede no space war, but even if there is, as a result of space colonization, the OST solves it because OST solvency was conceded now in this commercial space. Pound law in space is unclear and contradictory, disincentivizes innovation and investment. The gap solved by clearing certain framework for space content. Innovation's key. There's 2 ones. 1, microgravity and remote sensing, which was dropped. Hybrid-durable materials, pharma, new states of matter, satellites, also over terrestrial tech solves every existential threat. That's Twitter. And 2, space called solves accidents, nuclear replace, supervolcanoes, asteroids, superweapons, resource wars, and all other existential threat. That's called Neutrino. If space coal is good, 1, collapse, inevitable accidents, nuclear plagues, then air and water pollution, supervolcanoes, asteroids, all dependently cause extinction. Is try or die. That's called Neutrino. 2, now is key. Every second we wait costs 100 octillion human lives, outweighs any risk of the turn that's vested. And 3, no war. The incentive to weaponize 0 because everyone develops in an equal space, and space means their wants are wrong. That's called Neutrino. 4, new technology enables colonization to occur successfully without risk. Now answer their 1 to your first is COVID. He concludes out COVID-18. Should humankind exist? Yes, you should care about space coal more than anything else. The future of humankind is completely dependent on how we manage to colonize space. Don't we have more pressing problems on our space colonization strategy for dealing with problems? Our existential waste investing in space colonization habit. Immense future benefits of humankind stays limited to Earth. We go extinct, we continue dealing with problems at the same time invested in space colonization. And the Dewey evidence is wrong. These cards are uploaded as 5 arguments for quote extinction. A, weaponization and geopolitical conflict. The app solves it with space law. I'm not re-explaining their 1AC internals. They didn't answer them. And B, asteroids and comics. Hamilton says we solved them. You even read a takeout to them. And C, AI superintelligence. There's no reason it depends on it's dependent on space. That's inevitable. And D, tech development. We've impact turned it and they dropped it. The 1AC says that space technology is good, which it directly answers this. And E, world government. We solved the impacts of this with space law. They haven't challenged it. There's no link to the app. And there's no aliens risk. Plus, interplanetary conflict is science fiction through COVID-19. Interstellar warfare fantasy is doubtful there ever be a galaxy destroying war. Interstellar warfare is an oxymoron. There are no traversal war rooms. There's a logistical nightmare and sending any military expeditions. Technological imbalances impossible between post-human factions. Mark the card there. And the Hamilton evidence is also wrong. Group A Hamilton is a 1AC author. He says we need to regulate space by creating a legal structure that can evolve with privatization of space, where we have with bad uses of space, like asteroid deflection, wars in space, etc., etc. The 1AC solves this. We update space law to account for the shift to private space development. This solves all the reasons space is bad in the status quo. Thanks for the add-ons. Now onto the T subset stuff. 1, we mean plan text in a vacuum, it's the only objective option. 2, we mean we affect all paths in space. 3, counter interpretation, IPR prediction can include a range of assets. There's no set availability, crucible of 21. Hyper prediction relates to the range of IPR, low determines whether assets can receive protection. No watch out for IPR asset differences availability, range of IPR protection. 4, their interpretation is unusual. A is contradictory. It will require us to protect trade secrets and mass works as well as patent copyrights and trademarks, which would be extra topical. And B, wrong word. The House defines adequate and effective protection. That's not the standard we assume. We just have to strengthen protection, not strengthen it so much that it's adequate and effective. And C, over limiting their interpretation only allows for 3 apps. Creates stale debates. And D, off ground, every app loses their picks. 5, functional limits, PTO trade-off, patents, bad, the capital, courts, counterplans, politics, and other counterplans solve every app. And 6, reusability and competing interpretations called substance card out rates the bottom now into A spec. We don't have to specify. A, predictability resolution only says U.S. 50 we defend it. C, B, cross-X checks and normal means checks. C, fairness, they increase agent and process. Counterplans are unpredictable. They get thousands of agents with explodes after research are going to steal the app. D, no resolutional basis means it's arbitrary. And E, plan section of vacuum, cross-apply that, and cross-apply reasonability from T. Now onto the necessity counterplan. 1 perimeter both shields and net benefit. 2 perimeter counterfine justified because process counterplans avoiding issues the kill fairness by stealing the entirety of the 1AC her job application by avoiding the core controversy of IPR protection. 3 perimeter the F and apply towards chase and necessity counterplans something both textually and functionally competitive is the only objective option. Text inserted. 4 cancel all 3 warrants. 8 only gas sends a clear signal to other countries. That's the only way to get them on board because they want a singular standardized patent regime that's hard to make. And B, legal clarity over space patent specifically is key to encourage space investment development. Is incredibly expensive and sustained financial support is key. That's loop. And C, only patents can solve this complex domain of space. That's abadudo. And 5 prefer space patent specific evidence. A high cost of development, low number of companies involved, leads for cost size means patents are key. That's loop. And 7 overlapping. Decide the 2 legal frameworks cancel each other out and gut in protection. Heyman 13, but for an IP user perspective, overlapping protection scheme and make it more difficult to determine what they can do. It's not surprising that IP user will feel as it terms a little practical effect. Present mixed message. 8 distortion. Decide overlap causes the protection collapse. The opposite impact. 19 one of us drives the proposed right to release the regime classes no protection. Such caution overlaps in turn will to undermine protection and operate in pre-existing IP regimes. And 9 torts are very clogged. WSG 22. Of course, we see no one backlogs because of COVID. It could take years to dig out tens of thousands of cases ranging from civil disputes to stuck in courts, work at courts. Now onto the FTC, like the antitrust is said. 1 framing issue: the FTC is the agency that handles antitrust regulations. Do not let them try to shift away from this in the block. There 1 and C evidence about the FTC. 2 non-unique patents in every industry exists in the status quo. They have not trigger link, and patents are inevitable globally. The threshold for the link is extremely high. 3 FTC fails. The threat of litigation does not deter giants, and it's inevitable. And the suits are unlikely to be ruled against big tech. Rosenberg 322. Government should stop big giants having gotten the message of new antitrust laws and having maintained the GRE about gobbling up smaller companies, market companies. And 4, Chevron ruling destroys the FTC's ability to pursue big tech. Pearson 7-1. Ruling on Chevron gave federal agency power to interpret laws, shielding effect on further ruling and big tech take advantage of meta-filed lawsuit against the FTC, arguing the FTC authority is unconstitutional. FTC decisions like at risk. And 5, link turn the app solved because there's a regulation on big tech that's Hamilton. And 6, space colonization solves every extra that's on case. 7, the alternative is trade secrets, so net worse for the FTC. And 8, 0 link uniqueness. The DA is eternally thumped. 8, hundreds of cases each year. FTC noted every year. The FTC brings hundreds of cases for fraud, scams, identity theft, false advertising, privacy violation, anti-competitive behavior, and more. B, Pharma, McGowan, and Merchant Inc. 99. FTC has pursued aggressive expansion of efforts using all the tools we have to pursue drug makers. C, labor costs at 24, and the last couple of years antitrust enforcement ramped up efforts to challenge labor markets, and 10, no trade-off. The FTC can walk and chew gun. Reader 23, the latest enforcement action signal agency plans for the rulemaking from healthcare and housing to employment and education. More actions like we can walk and chew gun, said an FTC official out of the panic cave. 1 framework, the role is about is to determine the desirability, hypothetical, and affirmative topical plan. The affirmative gets the weights impacts against the K. Links must be unique and be to the mandate of the plan. The alt must solve and compete. That's best for fairness to clash. Anything else moves the 1 to see in turns defense and offense. Both impacts and ensures a good and turn all their offense. 2, ethics first framing reproduces evil. Ethic 2, the onion war undercuts political responsibility, powerless, complicity, injustice, intended consequences, pursuit of good generates evil, mark the card evil. And 3, Perfcon is an independent voting issue, kills fairness by 4 in strats Q because we have to debate against ourselves. 4, extinction is a necessary ethical consideration. 8, irreversibility is the only impact that can be a none. B, magnitude causes the loss of 500 trillion future lives. C, death acts as their terminal impact. Extinction precludes all progress and causes the violent and death. They describe. 5, perm to both solves the link and avoids disaster to the alt. 6, perm to the app and through the lens of the alt solve. 7, perm to the app and solve the impacts of decay. Justifying because Anglo and utopian fiat are both voting issue to obfuscate the war against theory to produce effects of social movements, kills education, and they just fiat something that always wins, destroying fairness. 8, the app is not fear-driven politics and a method to solve the world's hypothetical problems. The performance of the 1C was not fear-driven. 9, conditionality is a voting issue. It kills clash by incentivizing going for least covered option, disincentivizes research because they're neg, never has to fully defend a position. Dispose solves towards the theory and kick in. And 10, fearing policy around fear is legitimate. Working through is key to overcome powerlessness. May see 2K. We're confronted by wars and destruction. I work with people to helping them confront what they feel about what's happening to persons to overcome numbing and powerlessness, mark out powerlessness, and out of the cap K. Cross-apply all the framework, extinction outweighs, and the theory stuff, and the permutations, but the alt fails. There's 2 disadds. 1, weaponization, do well to have called 9. Space empire, tied to the imperial standard governance, subculture, subject, reconstituted identity, space weapons, target, to protect lethal force, primary use, destroy specific enemies, and mark the card enemies, and 2, co-option, king 16. Unrealistic, wholly autonomous social structure noticed by the state autonomy, rarely free from the state, mark the card as state, and 2, capitalism is sustainable and good. 1, technology, Brook 15. Humanity to flourish, the average life expectancy increase, reducing diseases, violence, it's the lowest ever, limits to growth, the theoretical, market theoretical, and 2, warming. Yeah, 2 warmings due to 121. Extensive data proves economic growth is no longer coupled with raw materials of 72. Research only 6 are not post-peak, and Americans consume few raw materials per capita, market per capita. And 3, safe space call solves the terminal impact to capitalism. And 4, revolution fails and locks in warming. Constant 21, wealth is protected by laws that these laws would have to be changed, required control of institutions through elections or coup. Both require mass movement. They would have to control the military. They would have to rebuild institutions. There would be counter-revolutions by the former elites and their supporters and external forces. Market forces.
Cross-X?
Yeah.
Okay. On case, you said that the Hamilton card says, quote, we should regulate space with a legal structure.
Mm-hmm.
Could you point me up to a highlighted line in your 1AC Hamilton evidence that even substantiates this claim at all?
Okay, let me pull the 1AC real quick.
Just like any line in the 1AC card that comes close to saying that.
Yeah, so... Okay.
I quote, there's a need for international coordination to minimize the risks
That highlighted line is where?
in the middle. Yeah, like kind of like directly in the middle.
Yeah, I see that. So
Okay,
there's a
it
need-
says including restrictions or regulations on specific technology usage and the development of surveillance and enforcement capabilities. How is that the F? That
Yeah,
is
we
the
think,
OST.
yeah, that's revitalizing OST solves that.
So the OST is regulations on specific technology?
Yes, that's what the F would do.
So
to
what
OST.
technology is it over?
Like mining, you can't do mining.
Can't do asteroid deflection technologies.
Okay. The overlapping DA and distortion DA.
Yeah, hold on.
So if the plan has not happened yet, then what does the regime of tort liability conflict with?
The current patent regime.
Okay, so if we win that it can be integrated into the current patent regime, then these DAs are 0.
Well, we think that they can't, but yeah, sure.
Wait, why can't they be?
Because they will cause legal confusion and like they will cause protection collapse. That's the distortion stuff. But then there are 2 different schemes in IP that have like the same jurisdiction, which is overlapping DISAD, and we think that
Wait,
that
but
is terminally
But the
linked.
plan hasn't happened yet, so there
No,
is
but
no
there are
jurisdiction in
patents
space.
exist in status quo. And
Yeah,
we
but they
think
don't
that-
exist in space, right?
Well, yes, that's true, but we think
Okay,
that
so
you're,
why can't there be like a different regime in space
well,
than Earth?
we still think that that would destroy legal clarity over what is able to be patented, and it would not solve the affirmative because it's not like a traditional style patent. It's a
What is
different-
legal clarity?
legal clarity is like
But
clarity
like
over
if you have
what
a,
is
if you
able
have
to
a
be
patent,
patented.
if you have something that can be used on both like terrestrially and in space, like there'd be like confusion of whether or not you get like,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
go through the like status quo system or then you counter.
Oh, okay. So it's about the effectiveness and the ability to get a patent.
Sure.
Okay. The signaling deficit, what is it like? What is distinct about the counterplan that ruins the signal?
Wait, which card was this?
It was like an analytic deficit, I believe.
Oh yeah. So the Howarth evidence talks about how a clear signal, like the affirmative, is important to get other countries on board. It isolates 3 groups of countries that would need like clear signals to follow.
10 minutes.
Stop prep 4:59. The dock is set. Cool. Let me know when you're all good.
I'm gonna go with it.
Cool. It's going to be the necessity counterplan, A spec, the panic K, big tech disadd, and cap K. You all good? Yeah. Tell us.
Somehow I'm still scanning for viruses.
Awesome.
The counterplan solves the case and applies the sort of necessity of the plan, granting liability for infringement when necessary. The counterplan finds space patents to be a necessity, immediately granting protections equivalent to the plan that's held. Judge kick the counterplan when a permanent links to net benefits to fail safe that kicks in during crisis. Swamp steps is held. 21 IP includes limits the enforceability of code provided adequate protection necessity. Coexistence with effects embedded with international frameworks. The safety valve available during crisis and more salient difficulties with balance exclusionary effects. 2AC1 is do both. It fails. The counterplan bans the plan. Courts narrow IPR jurisprudence to create an exclusive right to space patents. The app must guarantee a right, so it's abolished. No new answers, block choices, or made off 2AC mistakes. If you do the work for them and exclude the part that the counterplan that bans the plan, doing both is still impossible versus exclusivity. The plan fiat sit, providing the same carbon in the same area causes overlapping requirements. The text credibility links more to their deficits, which will be more below. The perm cannot simultaneously provide exclusivity and necessary infringement. That takes precedent at best. The perm gives unlimited protection via IPR and partial protection, which means investors cannot infringe. That's hell. 2 is overriding interest. The majority new liability requirements and rights causes over deterrence, which includes tech adoption. That's hell. 3 displacement, including IPR alongside towards degrades its attractiveness and causes courts to refuse to recognize the gram. 8. Alternatives to tort doctrine claims that the tort's liability is already relative, even if all torts are justice of harm. It is not allowed another approach to reform is amount of choice, and workers' comp and it offers a case appointed remedy displacing the torts, and court refused to recognize the perception of the torts and theories suggest similar ills. They say to the counterplan it severs. They drop the narrow plank. The counterplan narrows jurisprudence to ban rights over the plan's area. Competition is absolute. It cannot take out solvency because the 2AC will concede it still solves despite that. Despite that plank of the counterplan, no take backs or new answers. IPRs are exclusive. Quinn 2. The binary very nature IPRs exclusive meaning IPR. Then provide them one of the right to opportunity to prevent others from engaging courts. Healthy exclusive rights not unlimited by law, only limits that are created by demand. That means the permanent the counterplan severs rights, which is the voter for half shiftiness. Rights are permanent, non-infringible. EAC 24 to secret privilege and right. The careful analysis not found privileges in case of rights and votes defensively less permanent exists in the rights and subject to judicial exercise right. Its use is technically right. It must be sort of affirmatively precluded and precluded from invading. Necessity grants a contingent privilege, not a right held. 21 the privilege from necessity is contingent on proportionality action taken to protect the interest may not be disproportionate to those harmed by the court. Tort fees or torts are legally distinct from IPR. Lemley 5 the modern IPR is distinct from torts and unlike property system was focused on the right to exclude torts, compensate their parties and ensure defendants' conduct rather the incentive built around the unjust and enrichment that positive externalities or spillovers. The counterplan is a market-based exclusion, not rights. Baka 6 price-based exclusion entails leveraging traditional IP protection to make money. Right, market-based non-exclusion entails selling the goods of a traditional possession of property by not exercising exclusive IPR. Prefer 1 limits if it's not a counterplan. It's an app. There grants infinite non-rights counterplans. Apps that steamroll. Prep the uniqueness is neg. Apps can codify the squirrel and distance their thumb. So try die against inherent advantages like first slash speech and infinite prep. That outweighs predictable topics are useless if the topic is massive because 2As will break new every round, circumventing research apps and stable generics. 2 ground. Their troop opens the door to non-durable, non-infringible apps that delete any net ground from patents matter. Clog 2A innovation and certainty kills 3 generous and the squirrel is unworkable given thousands of court cases amending the IPR doctrine. Now, no offense or ample rights keywords, which answers theory because the entire basis of regulatory certainty is exclusivity.
And granting the app its built-in deficits provides provided 1AC construction is coherent. All that enters theory, but also but on the brief theory blip in the 2AC arbitrariness, there's no way to exclude this counterplan, which also excluding every unique or agent counterplans that generate a DA. Their interpretation is nebulous and lacks a bright line to account that substance. They say per to the app and apply necessity that bans the plan. Read the text. It says, quote, narrow jurisprudence to exclude protecting rights. The plan is clearly rights, which means the perm failed. So it's illegitimate because it has function. One is ground internal and benefits it. Erase. They're the only way to generate offense on this topic. Perm snowball into full intrinsic against leading germane offense. 2. Perm gaming text shovel down unpredictable functions. 2 ways will shape words off advantage counterplans if you out of dissets and little short plan functions by inserting extraneous words in the text. 3 arbitrariness versus USFG should debates over functions subverging from that predictable ground. Dex the next ability to engage justifies an arbitrary limit on every other next position which turns half ground because number theory justifies A through Z spec, which is the least debatability. Rest calls for debate over actions. Erickson. 3 topic against scale investigations doing the United States network unsure action and policy through the government means to debate over whether something ought to occur there. Towards the unique independent moment to create a critical mass alternatives like rights, treble damages for preventing mainstreaming. Graham 16 opportunities provide livelihood for transformation and law plaintiffs do not appreciate new second action abandoned well organized source not pure lucrative. They attribute the shift of perceived advantage to pure short order. Warranty is not encumbered, but no problem is intractable. The warranty is the advantage over most important to show the switch adoption is toward as far as would a circumstance of rent over the fact that its warranty was compromised by part of an alternative crucial moment. They say signaling deficit / modeling it's 0 there. The counterplan is IP law and mostly confers the same protections. The sole scenario that permits infringement is during a pandemic when the technology developed by the plan is necessary to combat the pandemic. The necessity is preferable. It's internationally recognized and predictable. White Hawk. 13 expressed international law doctrine, right to court access determined by law doctrine is by necessity of court. Not an exceptional jurisdiction over justice demands the usual requirements of doctrine is on operates by court access, otherwise unavailable to someone justified by legal right or court access international law in the United States. The doctrine status is debated necessity to recognize and authorize the court to assert jurisdiction. They link to the absence of conflicting signals to allies that might strengthen space law and international cooperation, which there want to see Hamilton evidence says are at odds. The primary function of torts is expressive, so the signal is powerful and clear. Hirschod's 18. The tort is expressive institution message to send the defendant wrong. Liability express judgment. The message code open the door to plain to see and the communicates clearly and loud judgment. It's more for business torts expressive institution. Yet expressive business primarily applying necessity also breathes light into international law held. 21 necessity amounts private and public interest to exploit application beyond tort law include particularly CIL particularly well. In IP the sources interference is necessary to make sustainable colony shows up. 17 it's possible to have an open discussion and NASA attacks the scientists and there's no life from our science for the threatening the funding and destroying reps and extinction sources interference and limiting all kinds of funds to do research of organisms post threat life on Earth transmitted to which NASA plants can do that cause disease and destroying metal and plastic infrastructure civilization bacteria damaging their rovers to allow NASA to go forward. We're given a 7-year atomic bombs and consequence of contagion would be extinction. The legal clarity stuff is 0. It's a clear signal towards liability. It's regularly incorporated into IP, so it's not an outlandish break from existing practice. That's held non-unique. IP is constantly evolving, including constant doctrinal changes. That's held intuitive reference. No impact-based cooperation and development is about certainty and outcome, not process. Though predictions are functionally the same. The app is not even a meaningful change from existing predictions. When you say cross-links with clear rockets, remote sensing, and technologies being produced by microgravity are being researched, and those are on the ground. So that status quo solves that. So it's certainly sufficient to solve there internally. The app can't solve it either because when you see crosses, actually, never mind. Rights are worse held. 21 underuse of text is attributable to inadequacy, speed, and flexibility. However, because every regime making complex and time-consuming negotiation with highly uncertain outcomes plus presumes sex of time and resources negotiations not make allowances for mechanisms politically fraud, IP rights, and varying goodwill. Prevent enforceability problems. Turns case. Attempting to shoehorn the app into inflexible regime zero solvency for Toronto. 22 each IP regime developed resolve different problems in rights and corresponding ways that each IP regime design a specific trade-offs and boundaries set the matter where you don't want creators use in the wrong time. This serves IP carefully calibrated balance and creators to evade requirements as conceptual combination and how it advances. Fiat solves investors don't know about it, so the counterplan is perceived as the equivalent protection. They say the overlap deficit or all the patents key stuff and stuff about space patents specifically. The patents key is not responsive. The counterplan uses the patent system, and the counterplan has licensing and will integrate the same laws of cross-licensing mechanisms. It's still IP, but it's not a right. So it solves and only infringement is permitted during a pandemic when that's necessary. Then no link to overlap. It's distant to the perm, not the counterplan. They're not conflicting legal regimes. Torts are completely distinct. Torts are a category of laws that IP can fall under depending on the case. Doctrinal treats are empirically get incorporating the broader legal regime that's held in sort of reference. Same goes for distortion. Phenomenal distant to the perm, but it's not overprotected in the counterplan because it's still one protection. Clog links just as much to the app. They rely on the suits to play out in the courts for infringement. Otherwise, there's zero enforcement. So it's neg on presumption. It keeps courts. Clog is low now. It's a 24 Justice Act and critically linked partnerships. All temporary partnerships need to text out of the value and efficiency where judicial conference release methodology authorized additional case locations. Market case location. The net benefit goes dropped. Try our neg. The pandemics outweigh the spread globally, mutating and picked everyone.
Okay.
Like, no.
So like the stuff on perm to the counter plan, that's just a reasonably restricted permutation.
Yeah, like severance is like bad because
Okay.
the perm is severance, not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. On perm to the app plus the tortious necessity, what are the standards for why functional only is good?
Why function alone is good?
Yeah.
Ground, perm gaming, arbitrariness, and honestly, it's also more real world because decision makers evaluate things based off function, not text alone, or not in, and they care not about the semantic or linguistic interpretation of like words. They only care about functions. Also, honestly, textual topicality is probably relevant at some point.
Cool. Okay. On your answers to the certainty stuff, the Halid evidence, why are rights worse?
Because they depend on the varying goodwill of certain companies and people that own the rights to license them out during a pandemic, right? Like, people don't know if they're going to have access to these things and like life-saving medicines during crises. But the important thing for the app is that people, like, guaranteeing exclusive rights in every instance deters investment into the space industry, because if there is a crisis, like say like a bat contamination pandemic in space, like they won't know if they'll be able to like survive in space given the crisis.
Okay.
But it's also like there's like a bureaucracy thing, like the patent court, and there's like a huge patent lobby that will prevent access to a lot of investors. So that's where it says like, it's subject to political capture. It's also way more time consuming. The Helig card says it's like it involves very complex private negotiations that take a lot of time for investors and block out and have like a high barrier to entry.
Okay, cool. On your like answers to the overlapping deficit, did you read the Helig card that says it? Like,
that was inserted. There's
or the
in
card
ones-
below it?
No.
No. Okay.
But like, I mean, the deficit's pretty incoherent. It's like one line in like a card is like literally a sentence in the 2AC. It says nothing. It says overlap is bad. The counterplan is clearly not overlap because it's one protection. But the only your deficit is about protection overlap, which was the answer to the second deficit. It's not overprotected because it's one protection.
But
right? So there's no conflicting
okay,
like
do intellectual property rights still exist in the world of the counterplan?
rights can exist in other instances, but not in the instance of the plan. But we
Okay,
think
so
we'll spill
why does
over
that-
to a broad. We'll certainly spill over to pharma.
So why does that not link to the overlap exam?
Rights? Okay, so the point is that in the plans, like, it's not a deficit to solving the plan because the plan doesn't have a rights framework implemented. The plan only has the counterplan's necessity doctrine.
Okay.
The perm would certainly link because it involves rights and torts.
Okay, cool. That's all.
I'm sending it.
So keep writing.
Okay, so it's gonna be like, if you have the 2 and C like flows in order, it's gonna be those, the space law advantage, and then the commercial space advantage.
So it's what Russell was supposed to talk about, and then 2-1, right?
Yeah. 1-2.
1, 2.
Wait, so are we starting on the necessity counterplan?
Yeah, the 2 and C.
Starting on
order.
A spec.
Oh, okay. We're starting on. Or, okay, we'll start. Okay, 4:59. I have to finish the terminal. The
Okay, sure.
Yeah. 4:55.
So yes,
Yeah,
starting
now-
on the
okay,
counter.
Two
starting on
and
the
C
counterplan,
order, and then 1-2.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that good with everyone?
Yeah, let me open it real quick. Yeah, okay, I'm good.
I'm still skipping. Okay.
They spread globally, mutating and recombining to infect everyone. Causes extinction. That's him. It's an empirical study. Expect. Process counterplan. Concede non-risk theory is bad. It takes our process counterplan and condo. Process counterplan is bad and condo.
Process
Condo.
counterplan's bad was answered above.
And process counterplan is bad was answered above condo. We get what we did. One flex capable calculator key. IPR's nebulous required multifaceted testing. DAs are few and non-unique. Absent sandbag. Best option to we see first and less species. Perfect finish and fake play 2. Logic combat is an unpredictable non-restriction rule that denies the negative status quo, which should always remain an illogical option. Arbitrary rules are worse than no rules, allowing GAF to unilaterally redraw their bounds of every debate. Displacing substance. 3. Innovation fallback strats encourage new arcs. Learning research. 4. Info processing hard one stage force. 2C efficiency. Now defense. 1. Dimension utility. Add more advocates peace and value until their strategic liability. 2. Skew inevitable TD speed. Highlighting supreme case. Did reject dispo. 1. Definitional consensus. There's none. 2. Force firms. Restless counterplans and world peace plans. 3. Cancel flex. 2C dictates the law. 4. Research inevitable. The 2C straight turns the best arc. 2C will always go for it. 5. Dispose 2C counterplans. Evade their offense.
Perfcon, not a reason to reject the team.
Perfcon, it's not a reason or just to reject the team. Can see the perm test the competition. The original theory. The big tech DA. It can see the FTC can walk and chew gum at the same time. Also can see thumpers just proves the thesis of the link. Capk can see the perm test the competition. Reject the argument, not the team. Space line. Job case is wrong. There's no scenario for extinction other than burnout of the sun, which humanity will adapt to with new technology. That speech. Hamilton is wrong. This is a negative card. It says space law is ineffective, that both the private sector and government will pursue the externalities of space colonization. I've inserted the line that Russell read during cross-sex. The line they read in cross-sex is about flags. In 2AC cross-sex, it's about flags of convenience. Those are inevitable in the status quo by other forms of space development, not just patents. Even if they win this card, it's not offense. There's no scenario in this card about why going to space is good. Staying on the rock solves it. All of the scenarios just as well. Say no. Countries oppose U.S. interpretations no matter what we do. When you see Johnston 17, there are going to be some countries that will put your interpretation provision for matters of national interest regardless of what we do. That makes growth of initially impossible. Source 24 it is essential to ensure international clarity for those off-world establishment rules that need a consensus how to support those community drafting new accords will be key to support sustained growth of the space industry as intended by the OSC. Embrace the consensus, the commercial space advantage. Refusing space colonization is the only ethical solution. There are several vectors as humans colonize the universe will bring animal friends, causing a level of animal suffering that weighs human extinction. Brewers. 18. Animals are nature of lives not worth living because their lives are full of negative experience. Animals with our solution have a lot of offspring, only few. This sort of extinction is less bad with animals with lives not worth living. Estrus are worse than extinction because estrus is terrible from a total view as from a person affecting views. Estrus is space colonization, animal suffering, and livestock farming. The number of animals will multiply when other planets are colonized. The colons on Tino wrong is card is wrong. Settlement creation card requires massive resources for colonies to become independent. Hundreds of rocket ships would have to happen back and forth, transporting a glut of natural resources in order to essentially create a second Earth that undermines its resource shortages that are already depleted by climate change. That's Hamilton. No warrant for how any scenario in this card leads to extinction. They've dropped that you presume none of those lead to extinction, and you should be skeptical because they haven't provided a warrant to their argument. For their evidence is also about tourism, not space innovation. Collins and Altino 10. Growth of space tourism industry colonization doesn't solve resource wars, or they actually said that wars won't occur in space, and the Beckstead evidence is wrong. They say Beckstead is an egg argument. They assume that space call is good. If we win colonization is not bad in constitution, they conclude we should avoid it the furthest. Colonization should be maximally delayed. Taurus 18. One should wonder how neganotropy is being lost that could realize an asterisk every second of delayed colonization should be seen as immensely desirable. Bostromian calculations discount the downsides of colonization. Rejected. COVID-21. Space law is generalized is just attempting to extrapolate colonization must be your top priority. This ignores the probably existing risk benefits of even marginally reducing SSMs are much greater than damage delaying colonization 100 years and colonization minor impact compared to immense positive marginally reducing existential risk. Mark at risks the reverse restraint reversals the scenario. Earthbound regulations will keep adverse effects of AI and nanotech in check by going to space. Stifles regulations causing AI to go rogue and slave humanity while breakthrough devours the universe. It also outweighs on time. They drop the process of colonization would kill humanity earlier. Any risk of our offense outweighs. Or 20. Losing potential locks into unrecoverable dystopian negative value worse than extinction. They would force technology to scale, become a superpowers while maintaining control tech. Tools to undermine, distend AI, monitor everything to have regimes that desire dystopia combined with tech to be disastrous AI element where mostly correctly deals with disaster we give an existential catastrophe. They say weaponization. The AI doesn't solve through space law. Defense goes nag. Regulations solve AI in the status quo, but only if they're on Earth. That's no joy. Asteroids and comets are irrelevant. AI superintelligence inevitable is wrong. Superintelligence inevitable is a blip. They drop that Doidney, which says it's safe now but risky. Once it's taken out to outer space, space call is key. Relinquishing space call ensures technology doesn't go wrong. Galaxy-wide regulations are unenforceable, and emerging rivalries incentivize countries to deregulate. And the rest of the cards don't apply. Strike off the animal suffering card I read above the Brewers card. Yeah.
605.
605.
did you read the light pollution part?
Nope.
No. Okay.
Other cards.
Yeah, I'll send them.
What's this?
It's back there. It's 2 cards, I think. So I'll just tell you them.
You said it's 2 cards, but they're being going to the body.
Yeah. Yeah, it's sent.
She'll get it.
Not yet.
Actually, advantage 2, advantage 1.
We got it. We're good.
Yeah, we're good.
Drop microgravity. Space plants enable new microgravity research, hyper-durable materials, farmland, new states of matter, and satellites all spill over into terrestrial technology. This is independent of the space colonization debate, so if we win the microgravity outweighs, we automatically win this debate. So specifically, microgravity solves disease, which can be used for crystalline structures that enable us to solve disease research. We'll concede all the disease impact work that they do in the 2&C and the Wandar. It means that disease outweighs every single impact that they can go for, and we have 100% external offense that they do not access, because Space Call Bad does not access microgravity research, because it's not, microgravity research does not have to be not have to be in space, post-space colonization. It's predicated upon protecting pants. Protecting pants in space pants allows for more microgravity research, because more investor confidence in those companies, because of those companies need the cash from investors. All of this is dropped by the 2&C and the 1R, because they spend too much time on the space colonization debate too. We can hang about on the microgravity stuff alone, but space colonization debate proper. If extinction is inevitable, it's try to get off the rock, solves access to the workplace, super volcanoes, asteroids, super weapons, resource wars, and every single existential threat. Calls on his team card specifically isolates resource wars. That's the one that the 1R is asking for. First, the first attack link 1, there's no link generic. And innovation does not apply. We only catalyze the space industry. 2, innovation is inevitable. It's the only question whether it's regulated. Patents key to check unsafe development. That's when I see Hamilton 3 times parallel. Their impacts are inevitable. We already have tech. The risk extinction further innovation is likely key to regulate it. Clancy 23. We're living at the same time. Parallels already face high technological players causing science today. No perspective of all knowledge necessary. The engineering pandemic is already out there. Progress in AI constraints are really accelerating foot path time parallels. Progressive develops multiple solutions to apply dangerous technically to engineering pandemic new health risks. We can face these scientific ecosystems mitigate them like pivot based instead. Critical mass studies research field has a high science global R&D system would respond rapidly, program accelerate scientific process. Parallels 4 regulations solve extreme downsides and become more likely as technology develops. Schemberger and Trammell 24. Humanity's antiquated go time of perils events to enable to destroy it. Humans ourselves large sacrifice safety. This technology development, the long-term survival development of Hasten's day when regulation is severe. So you know for a fact on this page that we do solve microgravity research, and so if space colonization is a question at all, you immediately vote negative on microgravity. Advantage 1 is irrelevant because we're not going for the spaceless law scenario, and we do not need to win any kind of international follow-on to win advantage 2, because advantage 2 is predicated solely on domestic patents and being able to get the microgravity patents, because those allow for more investor confidence. That's all. The work that I did about the Hamilton stuff that they read is irrelevant because I'm not going for that. I'm going for the microgravity impact, which was the Cosmuda evidence, the counterpoint. Extend perm other issues does the app and applies tortious necessity and excludes all rights except for the planet's rights. It solves that benefit based off the tort stuff. The perm is textually legitimate because it includes all the words of the planet, some words of the counterpart. That means it tests textual competition, which is enough to disprove competition wholly functional, and textual competition is best. The counterpart must change the function of the planet and generate offense off of textual change. That's best debate 2 warrants 1 germane. Textual and functional competition ensures that the net benefit has to be germane. Opportunity cost of the app. The model justifies artificial competition based off unused debate norms, which kills class advantage 2 objectivity. Is the only way to objectively determine what activities they actually do by redefinition. But even if they do, functional competition is bad. 2 1 arbitrariness is no one knows their function is. Governmental processes are extremely named. There's no bright light. 2 implications. Functional competition alone justifies process kind of plans. They're the worst of the worst, and voting issues to these types of cities not revolve around the topic at all. That reduces the debate to question mechanisms that are not intrinsic to the topic and distract from learning about the nuances of the plan. First they said the ground. No ground is wrong. Get the cap K, FDCDA, bubble DA, sweet generous counterplay, core clock, and paths bad, and any other creative counterplan that you get out of this kind of a permutation. We give you all of that. Next they said perm gaming. This is wrong for 2 reasons. 1, we do not allow you to move the word. We do not allow perms to move around the words of a counterpart text or plain text. And 2, debate is fundamentally a game of words at its core. So we should be able to write creative counterplans. Our interpretation lets you write the most creative counterplans possible. Because debate is at its core a game of words, and we should prioritize the word part of the game. Next, they said our interpretation is arbitrary. No, that's wrong. All the reasons why I gave that our interpretation is good above is the reason why our interpretation is not arbitrary. Next, they said in the real world, no, this is wrong. Our interpretation is more real world because real policymakers need to use the words to interpret a policy. Function and text must go hand in hand to find out what an actual policy does. Next, they said textual topicality. This is not even an argument. It's only said to see cross-sex. Next, they said that the plan. Next, they said that the resolution calls for debate over action. This is even if this is true, what we are debating over is action now. It's the action of the perm versus the action of the counterplan. Next, they said that the tort must be a unique moment. We give the tort toward a unique moment because we give the toward that we because we exclude all rights except for the plant's rights, which is a unique moment. But also, what a unique moment is arbitrary. No one knows what that actually means. That applies to the third card that they read here because the unique moment and discrete application are functionally the same argument. Next, it said that the counterplan excludes protecting rights. This is wrong because it's functionally the carve-out term. It's carve-out term because we reject all rights except for the plant's rights.
Okay. 450.
55.
The order is the necessity counterpoint.
Pace. Good. Yeah.
Sorry, just watching videos of my baby. I'm good now.
Awesome.
The counterpoint solves and applies to order necessity, granting equivalent protections unless a pathogen requires infringement. That's how it drops solvency and the net benefit. Pandemics outweigh that's came that cause extinction and then ripple globally. Microgravity does not solve because 26 of Newton does not substantiate at all. They can't solve terrestrial pandemics which are coming faster. They drop the time frame differential from the 1 Earth, but this can't be offense because they drop solvency. Offense defense is 100% neg. You know the counterpoint solves 100% of the case, and the perm solvency is probabilistic because we have a deficit, but the counterpoint certainly solves the plan and the net benefit, and there's a risk of a link, so you instantly vote neg. The 1 AR misses the boat on the counterpoint text trick. The perm bans the plan explicitly. There is zero carve out substantiated by the text. It does not say except or anything that would substantiate that. If it is textually and functionally intrinsic. I can sit down right now and win because the perm categorically excludes the plan. Regardless, yeah, it's probably undesirable because it bans all protection of rights to read their text. It's pretty simple. It means I don't have to win any of the competition stuff. I guess I'll still briefly extend that grounded out way when this process counterpoints are necessary evil on a topic. We're asking codify this quote. There's no unified dislike because IPR protection happens thousands of times a day. There's no unified. The clog is always thumped, and there's no link to politics. They only give things like they think the FTC decide, which is obviously zero because of Trump, and they give the cap kit, which is obviously killed by perm do both. But the process counterpoints are necessary, especially when they drop that perms can snowball into full intrinsicness explicit in the 2NC, which means that the constraint to just the text and the function of the counterpoint of the plan is irrelevant. Because like this in Elizabeth they shift out of even what their perm text says to feed out of all dissat. So every dissat gets deleted. PTO trade-off is killed by just allocate more funding to the PTO and then clog dissat is killed by give more hire more judges. To his plan sophistry, the off teams can insert the words like funding and not to defeat out of all dissat. They can write clever perms where they say they fiat just USFG should fund in the plan to get out of PTO trade-off, or the clog which fiats out of all dissats. They say germaneness is too high a bar on a topic like this. If the negative is true, germane just beat out do both plus the theory checks because their teams have to be apt to concede plantix. Plantix in the vacuum means that teams can if you don't want us to compete off these words, then you shouldn't put them in your plantix. They say objectivity, or also in Afghan you can rights key warrants check dropped and out of the block. They just have to have a reason why exclusive rights are key, which is what this counterpoint text, which is pretty easy on the topic about exclusive rights. They say objectivity, it's wrong. There's no impact. It's nebulous. Their interp is also equally unobjective because they include functional competition, which poisons the well of their interp. And there's also no impact to objectivity other than predictability, which we turn by via arbitrariness because functional competition is the only thing garnered in the resolution we've defined. USFG should via Erickson. They have defined nothing. They say functional competition is more arbitrary because no one knows what function is. People know what functions are. They can cross-fix on them. They can see the mandates of the plan. They can define words, which are pretty easy to see. We didn't read. They say process counterplans are they steal the app. This is wrong because you can read deficits based off rights key, which is pretty core on this topic. They say net ground is solved by sui generis. Again, they dropped out of the block that there is no good net benefit to sui generis, and they lose the part of the counterplan. And I also patent's bad is zeroed if you can be non-infringible and not, or if you can be infringible and non-durable as an app, because the whole premise of patent's bad relies on people excluding people out of the market permanently. But if apps cannot do that, if they can fiat through that and get out of this counterplan, then that's worse. They say perm gaming, I'm not going for that. They say arbitrariness is wrong, but that's basically a blip. The Erickson answers were incoherent. We are debating about perm solvency versus plan solvency, but we ought not debate about the textual or linguistic interpretations of the plan and only the functions and their comparative solvency. Extend the deficit course require a discrete, unique application in order to generate a critical mass. Otherwise, will be remanded to the lower courts and not listen to by the courts that are given the option of rights in the perm text. But I mean, obviously, they just begs the question of whether they ban it, which is obviously 100 for us. But regardless, there's a risk of this deficit too because the perm is hyper vague. You don't know what rights they're banning. Especially if they're trying to figure out the ban the plan part of it, they should say it's a discrete application, or they say the perm is a discrete application. Wrong, but they're more nebulous and confusing. It's not to a specific. They don't even apply the tortious necessity to the plan. They just say court should apply tortious necessity, which does not grant any spillover and does not solve the net benefit.
Yeah. Offense defense is clearly next.
147.
Yeah. advantage 2, and then the counter plan. Is everyone good? Okay.
Crushing concession by the negative because microgravity definitely solves all of the disease stuff. It's dropped through 2 species. It definitely solved disease. They said that it's only about space, but Cosmuta clearly says microgravity sparked visions of groundbreaking advancements in fields from material science to pharmaceuticals that solves disease, which means offense-defense paradigm flips affirmative because presumption flips affirmative because there's no net benefits in a counterplan that is not solved by the affirmative. Independent of the permutation debate, you can vote affirmative on this alone because we solve 100% of the net benefit and they don't have external offense. Other than that, now I'll go on to the counter. You should view this round through a question of competing interpretations, evaluate the impact debate through a paradigm of offense and defense, guard and offer differences between models. The 200 might have been good in some areas, but they didn't explain their impacts enough on the internal link level, which is why you're voting affirmative. I'm extending the third term, do the advantageous public necessity. Our permutation is textually legitimate because it includes all the words in the plan and some of the words in the counterplan. That means it texts textual competition, which is enough to disprove competition, and it solves the net benefit because it includes that part of the counterplan. It's not an opportunity cost to the plan, means that they're not mutually exclusive. Our interpretation is a model of debate in which counterplans must be both functionally and textually competitive. The counterplan must change the function and the function of the plan and generate offense off a textual change. If they try to make it, even if the permutation is illegitimate under one standard of competition, it doesn't matter because they have to compete both textually and functionally, meaning the permutation that's legitimate under one standard proves the counterplan is illegitimate under that standard. Our permutation is legitimate if we win our model because it's functionally but not textually intrinsic. The perm is not functionally and textually intrinsic, but just textually intrinsic because it excludes all rights except for the plan. The counterplan excludes all rights, including the plan, which means that the counterplan functionally does more than the permutation because it excludes more things. Fiat means that we get to pass the plan and keep the plan passed. So when the perm passes the plan and then excludes all rights, the plan stays passed, but then all rights are excluded. That is a carve out from the legislation of the counterplan. The affirmative is a carve out from the legislation of the counterplan, which means that the app still happens in the world of the permutation. And the counterplan does not ban the plan. Our model is best. There's 2 reasons. First is germane is textual and functional competition ensures the net benefit has to be a germane opportunity cost to the app because the limited intrinsic firms check net benefits unrelated to the app. Their model justifies artificial competition based off of unrealistic debate norms, which kills clash and fairness. That's bad. It leads to things like it leads to things like people reading nonsensical counterplans, which links to all our offense. It's objectively bad for debate because the net goes for process counterplans. Every debate totally unrelated to either the topic or the affirmative. You cannot accept their assertion that on this topic the neg is at a disadvantage when there's several tournaments with 60% neg win rates because of conditionality and process counterplan wins and elins. When debaters independently are valid in this round serves as a deterrent for people not to go for ace and 9 counterplans that are functionally competitive but not textually competitive. And second, it's the only objective way to determine what advocacies actually do by reading definitions. Anything else is really bad because teams change the description of their functions throughout the debate to skirt two-way permutation in the counterplan because of moving target. The text of the advocacy is the only objective grounding of the counterplan. Additionally, it's a slippery slope because it's impossible to define what a function is. Next teams will say that there are more and more functions and affirmatives and pick out of one of them. This snowballs into picking out of less and less of the affirmative until it becomes a meaningless distinction with 1% risk of a net benefit, which is obviously the worst possible model of debate. The ground law stuff is entirely wrong. Trump does not thump the FTC decide because you can uniqueness counterplan out of it. In the court clog, does that concerningly win uniqueness? Patents bad is phenomenal when you read it alongside an advantage counterplan that bans patents and offers uniqueness because the literature and why patents create trolls is incredibly dense and rich. And if we win our model, the permutation is legitimate and net better. It solves their intrinsicness offense because it tests textual competition. Functional alone competition is. Functional alone is bad. 1, it's arbitrary because no one knows what it is. Governmental processes are inane and bureaucratic, so there's no bright line, and nobody knows what it is because that's the problem. And 2, implications. Functional competition alone justified process counterplans. That's bad. They cause a 70% win rate, and they reduce the debate to a question of mechanisms that aren't intrinsic to the topic that distract from learning about IPR. That's bad for topic education in class. Also means that plan plus that plan plus counterplans are competitive. The whole res plan text take out every counterplan. There's absolutely no way to know what a function is without text, because ultimately the way you understand policy is through the words in the text of the counterplan. That means that you have to look to the text when determining the topicality and for competition, because that's the only objective standard on how to measure topicality and competition. They work hand in hand. Text and function work hand in hand at all times with each other, which means you have to default to both standards of competition when you are determining competition. Yep, that's all.